Hey out there, Akronites. Welcome once again to Around Akron with Blue Green. Now, this episode, we have a lot we're going to cover. We're going to go talk to Tim Carroll all about World War II in Akron. We're going to meet up with Mike Maxheat Mosley and talk about Pro Flow Radio. And we're going to head over to Time Traveler Records and see what that place is all about. Now, to kick this show off today, I went through the archives. Literally hundreds of hours that I interview never actually make it onto the show. So I went through all the hundreds of people that I interviewed and found 4 little gems that I love. Let's go see what this story's all about.
Christmas Wrapping, 1981. Our band recorded it in August of 81, and then probably forgot about it. It kind of sat around for 10 years, and gradually it became, I guess, sort of a Christmas classic. Now, I have always had a hard time with Christmas. I didn't have a particularly happy childhood. Christmas was when you got underwear and you'll like it. Christmas was, I didn't get you anything because anything you need during the year, we get you. Well, that was a lie. Well, I'm in my usual grumpy mood, and I'm at Summit Mall, and I'm walking by a shoe store, and I hear Christmas Wrapping, and it smacks me in the face and says, okay, lighten up, it's Christmas. And I'm knocked out by, first off, how fresh the thing sounds, even after all this, decades. And it just puts me in a, if not happy, willingly compromised acceptance of the, quote, joy, unquote, of the holiday season. It smacks me around and says, lighten up. I swear it works every time. I will be grumping and grumbling and every kind of whiny gripe I can come up with, and then this song comes on, it just, come on, man, it's Christmas.
I've always been a little bit entrepreneurial. So I think if you recognize that in yourself, give yourself the ability to explore it. And it may not always be your first idea that's the one that will land it. So if you're thinking, I want to start a business, don't think, you're going to hit the ground running right out the gate. You might have a couple near misses or failures, and that's okay. That's only just going to add to your experience and make your next project that much better. My first company was, I was a candy reseller. I would go to the candy store, buy candy, sell it from a refrigerator box in my neighborhood, marking up twice the price. And I was always shocked that people would do it, but they were too lazy to go down to the mini mart themselves. Then I did house cleaning at shockingly low prices. And I think probably the savior of all, moms in my neighborhood, that I would come in and do this cleaning. Then from there, I did all kinds of babysitting. And then when I met my husband, he was touring in bands, and I became a booking agent, and I booked tours for his bands. So I had quite a lot of experience both in those and working in a lot of different jobs that I carried into Earthquaker. Look at trying to assemble as much experience, and then look at people and say, what do I want to emulate about you and what don't I? And I think that is really, really helpful.
If you try to build a house and you don't have a strong foundation, you build it up to the sky, a breeze may blow and you'll be toppled over, right? But if your legs are strong and your value system and your morals are strong, even if you don't build it up that high, you won't be budged, right? And I think that's what's missing in this society. People, first of all, don't really know themselves and don't want to know themselves. And it's not directly their fault. There is so much stimulus to pull people outside of themselves. Buy this, emulate this personality, do this. And even in school, there is only so many opportunities throughout the school year or in a class period that kids are questioned to understand themselves, to learn themselves. What are you good at? What is your skills? What's your favorite thing to do? And I think that if there was a push for people to get to know themselves and understand themselves, we could have a better society. And this is what Kung Fu, my type of Kung Fu, brings to people, because I let them pick what they want to do first. I don't teach a system. The person is the system. Whatever you learn, wherever you're at, I adjust to you. And then I'll start you off where you're starting off, and then we'll work from there.
Whether you're an elementary school student or you were hired at Goodyear as an executive and you've come into Akron and you're thinking about, well, is this town for me? Is there stuff to do here? Or am I going to be here for a little bit and then go find someplace else? We think there's a really compelling case for why people should stay in Akron, and a lot of it hinges on our quality of life here. Other cities, to have a giant lake like this in the heart of their downtown, or to have a canal, or to have national parks that are so close to the city, I think a lot of the work that our partners are helping to lead is connecting those assets, making it feel like one seamless experience rather than a park over here, a library over here, a community center over here. It's one big public life that I have in Akron, that I go to the festivals, but I also go to the library to get books for my kids, and I go to the music festivals to have an amazing experience. The key is connecting in all this stuff and making it not feel like Kenmore's over here, downtown's over here, North Hill's over here, but it's like, I've got this amazing menu of neighborhoods to choose from every day of the year. And they're different, I go to different places for different things, but it's the sum of all that little stuff that makes me want to be in Akron.
Next up, we're going to meet up with Mike Maxheat Mosley and talk all about Pro Flow Radio. Now, this guy is amazing. I see him all over Akron. Not only does he have his own radio program, he also makes some really amazing music. Let's go see what Maxheat is all about.
So most people that know me know that I was injured in a car accident in 1996. I broke my neck in 2 places and bruised my spinal cord. So, at that point, I wasn't able to move and do things like most people, able bodies, could do. So music became a love of mine that brought me out of a situation where I felt trapped. So I started bonding with music and the different styles of music, and it just used to give me this different kind of feeling after being injured and going through such a traumatic situation, not being able to play basketball or go to parties or get to your friend's house or jump in a car easily, it just kind of restrained me, and music allowed me to become free. So I got involved with expression, creating music, but it wasn't as fulfilling as actually helping individuals get their music heard.
Get whooped, pulled up, they shook.
Yeah. Wait for the beat to drop.
Probably never get rich in the rap game, face it, can't see myself throwing up.
One of my first recording sessions with a guy named Rick Ekman, he used to work for a studio called EHB. He said that there was a level that I would hit at some point of reciting the lyrics of the songs that we were doing, and he called it technically pro flow. It's like the climax of your presentation, not verbally, not in relation to how you're writing your music, but how you're performing it, So you get to this point where your timing is perfect, your vocal tones are hitting at the right levels, and he said that's the professional level. So Pro Flow Radio came from that. Working with a branding company, MTAC, and this branding company is giving me the option to syndicate more content through my radio show that's more on a higher level of performing. So we have artists, we have comedians, DJs, chefs, cooks, so we just signed a non-exclusive deal with them, so we're working on all the details, but they keep sending interviews, and so our radio show, proflowradio.com, is still in effect. People can send in. You can go listen to it live. It's a 24/7 stream. I don't really do too many vocal inserts here and there anymore live. I kind of pre-record most of the time, but with motivation, I might be able to get back at it, more like I used to, with that youthful energy, You know, as you do it over the years, you kind of just, you get tired, you know. But the demand is coming back, like a trend almost. You can't even ride down a sidewalk without it being torn up at some place. Or you'll make this long trip in your chair to get where you're going, and then when you get there, there's no way to get off the sidewalk to get across the street. So you gotta turn all the way back around, or riding over these uneven areas is just dangerous anyhow. I'm already in a chair, so you know, me riding on uneven terrain is not the greatest. These chairs aren't built for that really. They're not all terrain. Doors are really not accessible in the city. Even some places that say they're accessible, technically, I'm not sure what the standard is, the universal standard, but it may be okay for some chairs, but if you have an electric wheelchair that's larger than a manual chair, that's gonna create more problems. Bathroom stalls, you know, those are very difficult to get into, and if you can even get into them, usually the toilet's set up to where you can't get close enough to it, so accessibility is a big issue. I think it's more of a broader thing just in Akron, but Akron's pretty bad right now with all the construction everywhere you go. So we're trying to be patient, but you know, I think that would be something that the city would definitely think about in the future if they cared about what's really going on with us, with the citizens. There's not a lot of disabled advocacy, so you know, it is what it is. You can't really fight it. All you can do is adapt to it and bring awareness to it, you know, so, you know, because you don't want a confrontational kind of situation. It's going to help everybody anyhow, because just because I'm in a chair with this severe disability does not mean it's a person that's just has a hard time walking every once in a while, or somebody that's bringing in luggage wouldn't like to use the handicap button, you know, so it benefits everybody technically. But I also find it kind of, it brings people together, because somebody will see that I'm having a hard time getting in and they'll help out. Now I have a moment to return that act of kindness by saying thank you and have a great day, and you know, I really appreciate that, you know. So it does give you a chance to connect to people even with the separation from where you're coming from, and you may be embarrassed to handle that sometimes in that situation, but you know, we're all here to step up and carry our own, you know, plight, and complaining is not something I do. I just want some changes, and that's what we're here today. Keep doing your own thing, and you know, don't follow the crowd, because you know, the narrow road is what's going to lead you to the promised land. So, you know, don't do what everybody else does. Spend as much time as you can with your family. Love your family. You know, those are the best moments in life. Not everybody has good family or very interactive family. It could be distant, a lot of different reasons, you know, but never give up on your family. And if you can, tell them you love them, and go check out the music. Maxheat, that's what they call me.
Next up, we're going to time travel down to Time Travelers in downtown Akron and meet up with Scott Shepard and see what this amazing little record store is all about.
My main distributor now for domestic stuff I've had for decades, and they're pressing and selling more vinyl than they ever have since I started dealing with them. Because when I first started, CDs were king, and records were almost obsolete at that point. But since these last few years of the big comeback of vinyl, you can get so many more titles now, and so many new releases come out on vinyl and on CD, and some of the more indie stuff comes out on only vinyl. You can't even get the CD of it. So, yeah, they're kind of keeping up with all the times, keeping up with what's going on. They always use the word warm. They say records sound so much warmer, and I kind of understand what they're saying. I just love the music, and I go either way. I mean, I do play vinyl and CDs in here, and a lot of times you can't tell which is which. You know, you just hear it, but everybody cites the large artwork and a lot of times you get the lyric sheet, and you know, you can see everything. You don't have that little tiny packaging like in a CD, and it just feels more organic, and I get that too, and it's cool. I can see why this whole younger, as they call them, hipsters, are into this kind of stuff, because yeah, they have those big gatefold things where you can open up, and a lot of times there's little stories about the band in there, and usually there's different photos and stuff, so it kind of intrigues people. Well, I go with the really deep catalog stuff, both in CD and in records. I think I'm one of the few stores, I know I'm one of the few stores that carries a full CD selection still. And I've got deep catalog, not just, greatest hits of certain bands and real popular artists. In fact, like the Billboard Top 200 or whatever doesn't affect my store at all. I mean, I could look at the Billboard Top 20 and I don't have one of those things in my store. It's kind of crazy. For CDs especially, it's pretty much 35 or 40 and over are still buying lots of CDs. They come out with all kinds of different deluxe packages with, unique, rare tracks and just extra DVDs, all kinds of incentive for you to buy the album for the third or fourth time. And I'm a sucker for that too, because I'm still a collector myself. And then as far as records go, it's really kind of like 35 or maybe even 30 and under. But they're passionate about collecting and they love it. And even though most of my records are used, that's what people are loving. They're finding all kinds of back catalog, deep catalog, stuff they never heard. And if they ask, I'll put the record on so they can hear the quality of it, or sometimes they just want to hear what it's like because they like the cover, but they've never heard the band. So, it's a weird mix of young'uns and old'uns, but I'm in the old variety, but I still buy vinyl too. I still like records, and I collect, of the artists I love, I still buy records and CDs. It's funny because I tended bar for many years at Boston Mills. It was just a winter job. Every winter I would tend bar there. And I was used to people kind of telling me their problems and opening up. And some people would tell you the most personal things, but it's even more so here. I hear stories, and sometimes it's somebody I've never even seen in my life, and they're telling me these deep, dark secrets of their life, and in a way, it's kind of awkward because I don't know them, but in another way, I'm so used to it that it's just common, it's just something that happens here. I love the fact that I actually do get some new customers in here, and every week, at least 10 times, when someone comes in the door, I always greet them and say, "Hi, how you doing?" And if I don't recognize them, I'll say, "Hey, have you been here before?" And so many times, every week, people say, "No, this is my first time." So I show them, I say, "Are you looking more for CDs or records?" And it's usually records, which I'm fine with. So I tell them where all the good used are and where the new releases and sealed stuff is. And I say, if you have any questions at all, feel free to ask. And that's great. I mean, I get so, and usually most of the time they'll buy stuff and they'll say, "This is a cool store, I love it, I'll be back." And they do come back, and I see them again, and so then when I see them, I kind of recognize them. I say, "I know you've been here before, if you have any questions." And usually we strike up conversations on whatever artists they're looking for, and I want that to keep happening, and I want it to happen even more so. There's nothing better. I mean, I love my regulars. I always will. I love having regulars that I can count on seeing pretty much every week. But there's also a great feeling when somebody you've never seen comes in and then they love it here. And I love that feeling too, because it's like, well, I'm doing something right. Because you can't have everything, there's no way you can have everything that's out there. So I just kind of try to get the coolest and some of the most obscure stuff I can get.
Now, to wrap this show up today, we're going to go meet with Tim Carroll and talk all about his new book, World War II Akron, and learn all about what Akron did to help win that war. Let's go see what Tim Carroll's all about.
I wrote a book about my grandfather's World War II experience called 364 More Days. We'd always told he volunteered for the service, but when I looked through his World War II letters, I put them in order, and I finally read the first one, and he signed it 364 more days. And that's when I realized he didn't volunteer for service, he was actually drafted. I didn't know there was a draft before Pearl Harbor. A lot of Americans don't know that. There are 1 million men drafted before Pearl Harbor, including my grandfather. So he was drafted March 1st, 1941. So that's what the book was about. My editor that originally read part of the book thought it was really good, and so he took it through the process of trying to get it through. Basically, they go into meetings and they try to decide if they're going to publish it. And I made it to the final round, and I was kind of in a tough spot because they turned it down, and I wasn't sure where to go from there. I'd been turned down by a few other publishers. So I had noticed that they wrote World War II Detroit, World War II Cleveland. So I did ask them, do you guys take ideas for books without having written them? They said, yes, we do. So I said, well, could I write World War II Akron? He said, so well, submit us a proposal. We did like what you read, so we'll consider it. I submitted the proposal, and again, because they liked what I read, and I also felt that my editor thought they should have published my grandfather's book, and he felt bad that they turned it down at the last minute. They decided to give me a contract. So that was great because I got that contract in early August of 2017, and I spent 8 months, 7 days a week, sometimes 12 hours or more a day researching and writing the book. And I really had a lot of fun with it. There was really a lot of interesting information to find about World War II, a lot of great American history, and then of course a lot of it's linked to the Akron area. I never knew that the Goodyear blimp served during World War I and World War II, hunting Nazi and Japanese subs during World War II. They also were used on rescue missions, and there were a couple times the Akron men, their planes crashed off the coast of the United States. A Goodyear blimp showed up to rescue. It must have been a pretty big thrill to be rescued by a blimp if you're from Akron. Something to tell the grandkids about. So that was really interesting to learn about, is the blimps and how effective they were at combating subs. They could see deep in the water and really could spot subs before they could fire on ships, and they really did a fantastic job. The other thing I learned a lot about, there was a Boy Scout draft. That's the nickname that the Americans gave, the American public gave to the draft when they lowered it to 18 for the first time in the 20th century. Because the draft age was 21 during World War I, it was kind of controversial to lower it to 18 in World War II. Americans weren't happy about it. And you could even get drafted while you were a senior in high school. And there were several young men that were seniors at Central or East High School that were drafted at age 18 and killed in action. And you didn't have a mandatory training period. There, at the end of World War II, when the fighting pretty much stopped, they put in that 6-month mandatory type boot camp. But before that, they didn't have a mandatory training period. So I had met a World War II veteran, and I've read about soldiers that were sent overseas that were 18 that had only been trained for a month, sometimes 2 or 3. So they were being thrown into some horrific battles, sometimes without much training. And then one of the biggest surprises about the draft is you could get drafted up to age 45, which a lot of people don't know. And they drafted fathers age 18 to 37, from especially from the end of 1943 till the end of the war. Rubber makes a ton of different products, so Akron turned out a lot of rubber products during the time period. The most notably is tires. Everything runs on tires. So whether it's planes, Jeeps, and trucks, they needed a lot of tires. In fact, that's one of the ways you could maybe get sent home. A lot of guys that were drafted into the Army were often sent back to Akron on furlough to make tires because they didn't have enough guys to make military tires. And even though they were drafting, again, if you watch some Hollywood movies, they give you the impression that if you're working in the war defense industry, you could get a deferment. That's not really true. A lot of guys were drafted that were working in the war industry because they were so desperate for manpower, but they tried not to draft tire makers because they needed so many military tires to wage war. And that's one of the ways Akron really contributed. Especially, the Japanese, after they attacked, cut us off from 97% of our rubber, so Akron really had to find other sources. They started planting more rubber in South America, they started developing synthetic rubber, and they really did a fantastic job, despite being cut off from 97% of their rubber, of turning out so many products. Even if you look at Firestone Tire and Rubber, like I said, 80% of the anti-aircraft guns combined, really that helped defend a lot of, they were on ships, They were on land. So whether it was land or sea, those Firestone anti-aircraft guns really helped keep people safe and win the war. There's 108 photos and cartoons in the book, and a lot of rare stuff. So you'll see a lot of photos and cartoons that haven't been printed since the time period. John S. Knight was great to learn about. There's a lot of photos of him. There's 12 of the Goodyear blimp, even flying off aircraft carriers. You see planes going off aircraft carriers. You don't often see blimps. One of the best photos in the book is John S. Knight standing with Eleanor Roosevelt outside of the Akron Armory, which is a pretty cool photo. There's a couple photos of President Roosevelt talking from the back of a train, campaigning for re-election in 1940 in downtown Akron in front of a crowd of 50,000. The cartoonist from the Beacon Journal is one of the best in the country, so you have 40 of those. General Eisenhower's in there, General Marshall. In my post-World War II section, highlighting John S. Knight's prominence, I also have Lyndon Johnson visiting Akron, Richard Nixon, his friend, at the Soapbox Derby and with John S. Knight. John S. Knight was actually with Kennedy 4 days before he was assassinated, so I got some pictures of that in there. So there's really just a lot of historic photos in the book from the University of Akron archives, from the Beacon Journal. I got that photo of the Akronite Lester Cowan with Ernie Pyle and Burgess Meredith in the book, and some other great photos that I think people will really enjoy.
Thank you once again for watching this episode of Around Akron with Blue Green. Now, if you have any questions, comments, just want to drop me an email, you can go over to www.aroundakronwithbluegreen.com and you can send me an email there, or you can find me on Facebook and on Instagram. Thank you so much and have an amazing day.